Out Entrepreneurs. Rhodes Perry here, and welcome to episode number 30 of The Out Entrepreneur, a weekly podcast where I get to interview today's most inspiring LGBTQ bosses crushing it in business. On today's show, we are joined by creative entrepreneur Gina Pecoraro, who's speaking to us live from the Big Apple. So, Gina, are you ready to inspire fellow out bosses?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to have you on the show. And for our listeners, a little bit more about you. Gina is the creator of the LGBT clothing line called 7even Clothing. And her brand delivers unique LGBT merchandise and offers a fresh look at what LGBT consumers desire. 7even is not about rainbows. Rather, it's about representing LGBTQ pride through the logo 7E, which is a very, very cool logo. I'm looking at it right now. So if you haven't checked it out, you should totally go to their webpage, and we'll talk about where to find that soon. So Gina, developing your own business, your own clothing line, obviously it's community focused. Tell us a little bit more about your business and really what makes it unique.
Okay. Thank you for having me, by the way. I'm excited to be here. My business actually came upon, I was married to a man prior for me coming out. And then when I eventually came out and everything and was looking for items of t-shirts and stuff just to see what was out there for the LGBT community, I wanted to get involved and wear something that represented me. And everything I found was rainbows or derogatory designs and everything. I'm really not into that type of stuff. I have an art background, so I always wanted to own my own business. I've always been into graphic design and advertising and everything. So I'm like, let me just see if I could do something. And I'm like, I can make something that shows a different way to represent LGBT pride rather than the obvious, such as wearing rainbows and such. So that's how that came about. And I just worked on the logo and the concept, just everything just came together and flowed together. And I'm here 8 years later. I've been having a lot of fun with it, which is good.
I love creative entrepreneurs. I know for the folks who tune into the show, I often talk about another podcast called Being Boss, and it's really for creative entrepreneurs like you, artists, people with vision, creating something, either if it's virtually or obviously with clothing, you're producing a real good for community members. And listening to that podcast, there's a lot that goes into a creative entrepreneur's business. And my limited understanding of all of those details, I'm curious right now with all of the things happening in your business, like right now in this moment in time, what has you most inspired about waking up every day and devoting so much time to 7E?
Everything that's happening around the world, especially here with the LGBT community, which has been going on forever, but it just seems to go in waves where it's okay for a while and then it gets bad again. I just feel that my line is just something positive for the community, both for people who are part of the LGBT community and outside of that. It kind of unites us as one. There's no harassment when you wear, I wear my line to work. I have been for a couple of years. You can kind of wear the line outside on the street. You could just wear it anywhere you want and not be harassed or be looked at or have people say things to you versus wearing a different advertisement of who you are, a representation. If I go out in rainbows, I know that I will get ridiculed probably. But when I wear my logo in 7E, I don't have to worry. I just go out and go about my day and do whatever I'm doing and not have to worry about being ridiculed for who I am, which is very sad. So for me to be able to do this and put that out there for people of my own community and hear the comments and emails I get, people just thanking me for what I do and to continue my work. And a lot of people I've made a difference in their life, which it's funny. I get emails regarding those types of things and it's just very touching. But I just continue to try to bring positive things just to show that we're just like everyone else. So we're no different, That was a main part of the logo as well, is just to, I am gay. It doesn't mean I have to advertise myself, or I'm walking down the street and you could look at me as a person and not automatically, oh, you're gay, you got rainbows all over, or you're confronting me as a person. And then I'll let you know if I am or not.
What you're doing through your brand, at least from my understanding, is you're really creating community. You're creating visibility through your brand and through your logo, which is a signal to other folks who are LGBT who are familiar with your company of giving visibility and acknowledgement to members of our rainbow family without the rainbows, right?
Right.
And helping people connect and feel a sense of belonging, which is huge. And you had mentioned that You've been in business with 7E for 8 years. So, number one, congratulations. That's
Thanks.
huge. And take us back to pre launching 7E. And I want you to consider what usually inspires some of the guests that I've had on the show of starting their businesses. It's usually kind of for one of two reasons. The first is like 100% they saw the vision of their business and they're like, I want to create this business because I have a purpose and this is my purpose. The second reason, and I've interviewed more people that have experienced the latter reason, which is many of my guests have felt that they could no longer conform to a workplace culture, often in corporate settings, where they felt like they kind of had to fit themselves into a box that censored a lot of parts of who they were, which totally impacted like their overall well-being. Thinking about those two different motivators, which one resonates the most with you, and share with us a little bit about why?
To pursue a purpose basically is why I started. I mean, everyone would love to work for themselves. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My father owned businesses, a few pizzerias, and I've always seen his drive and his passion. And all growing up, I took that and I always kind of knew I wanted to work for myself and have my own company. I just didn't know what. And then when I was in art school, I knew I kind of wanted to do fashion, but I just didn't know what or how. And as my life progressed and everything that I went through of being married, coming out and accepting who I was and seeing the world for what it is, I'm like, wow, I can really do something positive here. And it just started from there and has been going ever since. So for me, I think more so, like, I feel like this is my purpose. Like, this is something that I'm here to do, is to influence people, to show people diversity in a positive way, have people could just look at it and see it's something fun. It doesn't have to be anything political or anything like that. For me, I think it's just my purpose. This is every day I think about my line. Every day I come up with ideas. I want to be working on it all day long. So
I love it.
I just have a lot of fun with it. And the people that I meet through it, it's incredible. It's all been driven through my passion, which I think is important. Because if you don't have that, then what's the purpose of doing it?
Yeah. And you're getting such confirmation from people that are buying from you and just reiterating, not only are they getting great clothing from a great brand, but it's that positive feedback of thank you for creating this space. Thank you for creating this community. And I mean, I think what better affirmation than that from feeling that you have this purpose and other people are acknowledging like, thank you for delivering on your purpose.
Oh, thanks.
And
Yeah.
I want to switch gears and talk more about your LGBT identity, right? So you talked about being married before and you're coming out. I'm curious, did being LGBT identified, did that influence your journey to become your own boss?
I mean, it's scary because now I'm not just out to my little circle of family and friends. And I'm going to be out to everyone. My whole story is on my website, which I wanted to have out there so people know that my story, maybe someone can connect with it. I was married to a man before, came out, and now I'm here living the life in the LGBT community, which is no different from the life I had before, but being my own boss in that. When I first started, it's kind of scary. It's intimidating, number one, to be putting yourself out there with whatever you do, and regardless of who you are, but being part of the LGBT community, it's kind of scary because your whole life is advertised to basically everyone who comes across the website or sees me on the street or at an event. I'm fine with it now.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're talking about this fear. And one of the questions that I like to ask my guests is if you can share an experience where it was scary for you in your business to be 100% out. And this could be because you were afraid of losing potential clients or revenue, or like what you were saying, your company is so centered around LGBT communities, you're putting yourself out there in a big way. So can you think of like in a specific example where it was scary to just be out there, and how did you work around that? Because I think just sharing your story and being super specific on it will help listeners of this show who are just thinking about starting their businesses really navigate building a really amazing business and not having to sacrifice any part of themselves in building that business and attracting the people that they want to work with.
Well, when I first started, putting yourself out there and selling something to people is intimidating alone. I kind of had a more of a comfort because the events that I would do, I was in the LGBT community doing pride parades or expos. So I was already advertising to my own. More so if I'm doing an event that's not particularly LGBT, it's kind of intimidating because you don't know who's going to come up to you or what they're going to say. I haven't had any backlash or negative comments, luckily, but it definitely is it's scary just to put yourself out there, like I said. But what drives me is just knowing that I have something here that it's growing and growing. It's huge. And that to me, I just keep repeating, like, I'm here to do this and I'm making a positive impact on people, and I just keep going. It's my passion. This is what I love to do. And that kind of sounds out and drowns out all the negative things that you think about that makes you fearful. You just have to keep trekking and keep going, because that's how dreams are made, right? You just got to keep going. And I have the passion for it, and I'm obsessed with it. So
you have to be, right?
You know,
As a business owner, you have to be lit up to do it. And
yeah,
it's clear that, even though you had mentioned there were moments where you were a little afraid of being out and potentially at events that aren't LGBT specific, and yet like you're thriving, you're building this amazing business which is growing and scaling. Part of what I want to do with this podcast is really build out that story or that narrative of what makes us super boss or super effective at what we do because of our LGBT identity. So like, rather than kind of saying, oh, we built these businesses despite all of the discrimination and bias that's out there, it's like, we built these businesses because of our stories and because of the way that we're resilient and we can persevere under stress. And so like, to you, thinking about your LGBT identity, how do you see that, or if you see that, as an asset to being a really effective business owner? Like, what would be some of the things that you would say, I'm a better business owner because of my identity?
Yeah, I think that it drives me. I want to show that I am LGBT and I am my own boss within my company. But at the same time, I'm the same person as you are, even though you're straight and you have your business. I'm doing the same legwork. I'm doing the same, obviously it's a different business, but we have the same passion, same heart. We're all human. So my thing is that we're the same as everyone else. Just because you're heterosexual and I'm LGBT, to me, that there's no difference. So being an LGBT person that owns my own company, that drives me, as I guess on more of an excitement side, showing that, hey, we could do great things just like you, and we are. So there are so many people doing their own thing, and with social media and just the way the world is, negatively and positively, I just think people are just apt to be their own, which is a great thing. So
as business owners, regardless of if you're LGBT or not, there's like 90% of the same kind of struggles, or it's pretty common, right?
The same thing,
Accounting, social media, all that stuff, right? And
right.
And there's 10% of stuff that it's nice to be in community with, I don't know, like an LGBT chamber of commerce or something, just to talk about some of the things that might be specific to LGBT business owners. And then at the same time, what you were talking about, of just simply by running your own business and being just really effective at what you do, you are being a possibility model to younger LGBT people who are really thinking about their future. And, I think to be an entrepreneur, we're all wired in a certain way, right? But for LGBT younger kids that are wired in that way, really showing like you're providing a pathway to entrepreneurship, which I don't think is talked about enough. I have a background in working with LGBT youth. I don't think that that's talked about enough as a viable career option. And when in reality, so many of us have engaged in some kind of survival strategies, to get through life. And I feel like those skills alone make one a really effective entrepreneur. So thanks for sharing your perspective on that. Considering some of the challenges with being 100% out in your work, and then some of the strengths, of what we just talked about, what do you want our listeners to really focus in on and make sure that they take away from this conversation to inspire them to always be authentic in their work?
It's definitely hard to keep going. I think you're your own worst enemy. For me, I am. You just got to keep positive and keep going with your dream. Self-doubt is going to always be there. You just got to ignore it. You got to just keep going and doing what you believe and what's in your heart, and, work hard for what you want in life. No one's going to hand it to you. That's definitely for sure. So if you want something, definitely do it. I get intimidated where I'm doing my clothing line, and these brands are coming out and this company is just coming out and, in the same business as me, they're selling LGBT merchandise. And every company that you do, any business that you're in, you're going to have competition. That's the way of the world. Life is a competition. You just can't get intimidated. You can't give up just because someone else is doing it. it's very easy to get into that mindset. Like, I give up. I have a million other, a lot of other companies that are trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. You just have to be unique in what you are providing. And that's how you're going to stand out. And that's how you're going to progress as a company and as an individual and as someone that's part of the LGBT community.
The self-sabotaging that you're talking about, or sometimes people talk about the imposter syndrome. It's good to be aware of those things, like what you're talking about. Like, you're super aware when that can pop up. And then at the same time, it's like an object in motion stays in motion, right? Like,
Yeah.
just go for it, keep going, progress, not perfection, and finish one course until you're successful, and you're really,
Right.
you're really doing that in your business. So Gina, this is awesome connecting. We're going to take a very short sponsorship break. And for our listeners, please don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we are going to jump in our bonus round.
HR and diversity professionals, are you struggling with engaging LGBTQ talent? Do you stay awake at night worrying about limiting litigation risks? Have you considered seeking support around these concerns, but just aren't sure where to turn? Look no further. Rhodes Perry Consulting offers you solutions with the Engaging LGBTQ Talent A to Z certification. This proven 4-week mentorship program delivers skills, offers support, and connects you with other professionals committed to transforming themselves and their workplaces. Learn more about this cutting-edge program by visiting rhodesperry.com and use the promo code RPC for a 10% discount. Take action and visit rhodesperry.com.
Welcome back, Outbosses. We are now going into our bonus round, where we'll have the chance to get to know Gina just a little bit better, gain some insights on how we can bring our whole selves to work, and then learn one way to stay in touch with Gina after today's conversation. So, Gina, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So, did your LGBT identity hold you back from taking the entrepreneurial leap, or did it speed up the process?
For me, it definitely sped up the process, for sure.
And in one sentence, what does it mean to bring your whole self to work?
To me, it means I'm just living my life. Everyone should be able to bring themselves to work and be themselves no matter what they do.
Yeah, showing up to work, uncovering, being authentic. And
Right.
I think by doing that, you're really inspiring younger LGBT folks on how to do it.
Right.
Like, you're role modeling in a lot of ways. So what's one personal habit that helps you master yourself and your business?
One personal habit. I have a lot of them. I don't want to be cheesy, but staying true to who I am and true to the line and the meaning behind it.
You're knowing your why, and you're constantly recentering and reflecting on your values. Like what you said, when you're talking about waking up every day, loving what you do, staying focused on the things that are working, and being innovative and thinking about the next thing, as an entrepreneur. Like, you're talking about your company growing and scaling, and it's exciting, I mean, you're welcoming that kind of abundance into your life, but you're being driven by your values, and that
Right.
makes a ton of sense. I know you're busy, so can you share one thing that you readily delegate in your business to stay really focused on what you're good at? You're the artistic director, you're the strategist, you see the big vision. So, for those little administrative things, how do you delegate those? What's one way that you do that?
I basically do everything. So I try to keep myself focused on what needs to be done next and then see in the future of what I need to do and what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I just try to keep focused on the little things first and then the bigger picture after, and not just get overwhelmed with the bigger picture of what I want to accomplish. But I need to take those little steps to get there. So I try to keep myself focused on the daily little things that need to keep everything going.
Every business started out as a small business at some point, right? With an
Right.
idea. And when you just are getting started, even in those early years of your business, it's important to understand, one, like, know your numbers, understand what's coming in, what's coming out. Understanding every function of your business in a really intimate way is a great way, so that as you grow your business and as you start to hire staff and as you continue to grow, you're able to either write process manuals on how to do it,
Right.
or you can you're so intimate with each one of these kind of systems, you're able to explain it and then delegate it that way. That's great advice for those solopreneurs out there and people that are lean on staff right now. But the importance of understanding how all this fits together, so that as you bring on more people, you can explain that in a really inspiring way and being a good leader. So, Gina, please share one piece of advice to help inspire the next generation of outbosses take that first entrepreneurial leap?
My main thing is just be yourself, because if you're not going to get far. No matter what you're wanting to do and what your passion is, as long as you stay true to who you are and your beliefs, you're going to go far. You just got to keep going and just don't listen to the doubt that is going to creep in. For me, it's all the time. I'm my own worst enemy, but you just got to keep going and know that what you're doing is through your passion and you have a purpose.
Mindset is so critical. It's like 99% of where we're going. And
it definitely messes with you.
yeah.
So,
and if you can master that, not only can you master your business, but you can definitely master your life. So last question for you, Gina. Number one, thank you so much for your time today and absolutely inspiring other outbosses. Before we go, can you share just one way that we can stay in touch with you and learn more about your business?
My website would probably be the best, 7evenclothing.com. All of my information's on there. If you need to contact me by phone or email, it's on there as well. And under the About Me is basically my life story and how I came out and everything. So hopefully the people that do read it, it helps them either personally or on a business level.
And we'll be sure to include the website in the show notes. Thanks again, Gina. And for outbosses, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. It is always my privilege to connect with you and so many inspiring outbosses like Gina. So as a next step, check out the show notes for highlights from today's conversation, subscribe to the podcast, and consider leaving a rating and review in iTunes. Let me know what you like, let me know what you want to hear, and definitely connect me with other outbosses that you think can inspire our listeners. And as always, keep being your authentic selves 100% of the time.